So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our April 2025 and April 2026 Change Day public meeting. My name is Jolie Branch, and I am the public hearing liaison for Utah Transit Authority. And I will be joined by a few of my colleagues here tonight, which I will introduce shortly. But I would first like to go ahead and spotlight Andrea, who will be our ASL interpreter for tonight. And she will also be assisted by Amber, another ASL interpreter for tonight. And we will also have Luis, who will be interpreting in Spanish for us tonight as well. So if you need if you need a Spanish or ASL interpreter, please go ahead and pin Andrea and Amber, or you can go ahead and join or press our interpretation button here, and you can join the Spanish interpretation room if you need that. We also have the closed captioning option where you can have a live transcript if you need to have the words on the screen for you. Awesome. So outside of those functions, we do have the chat open tonight. So we will be joined by a few of my colleagues and they will be discussing the proposed changes. If you have any thoughts, questions, or comments that may come up, I encourage you to put them in the chat and we will address them after all of the presentations have been made. And if you're not able to use the chat, I ask that you can use the raise your hand function again after all the presentations have been made, and we will get to you. So joining us tonight, we will have Monica Howe, our Fairs Director. She will be presenting on the Fairs changes. We'll have Eric Callison here and also Russ, and they will be presenting some of the service changes that we have coming up. And we also have Megan Waters, our Community Engagement Director, and Nicole Bordeaux, our Chief Planning and Engagement Officer, joining us on this call tonight. So with that being said, I believe we can go ahead and get started. We'll turn it over to Eric.
All right, thank you, Jolisha. Is my sound coming through okay?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let's go to the next slide. I will do my best to speak slowly and clearly. I get excited and I start talking really fast, so I'll try not to do that tonight. Just let me know if I need to slow down. Just real quick, we do want to say, there's a lot of work that goes into the 5-year service plan, and basically what we're talking about tonight is the first 2 years of that, 2025 and 2026. And some of the goals that we're trying to achieve here is, you can see right there in the middle, respond to community feedback. We want to optimize our system to run the best service we can with the people and the resources that we have. We are trying to implement some projects in the long range transit plan that are coming down the pipeline. We want to restore service that was reduced during COVID and partly due to difficult staffing situations that we've had the past couple of years. And part of that is improving our employee working conditions to make sure that it is a place where folks want to work and we can retain the right talent, especially bus drivers, mechanics, customer service reps. Those are the extremely important people to keep our service running. Next, please. So as I mentioned, this is the first 2 years of the 5-year service plan. We'll go over each of these routes. Next. Also, what we're going to go over tonight is major changes. A major change includes all of the things that are listed here, which is if we're adding a new route, if we are changing the route, the level of service on the route, meaning the number of miles and hours that we run by more than 33%, If we are cutting a route, either on a specific day or entirely, that counts as a major change. If the route alignment, where the route goes, changes by more than 25%, that's also a major change. And if we have a fare change, that counts as a major change. As we get closer to these change days, there may be other changes, schedule changes, minor routing adjustments that will also be part of the change day. And we will notify the public of those at least 30 days before change day, but that we won't cover every single possible minor adjustment tonight. Next, please. So we'll go right into the changes at this point. And as Jaleisha mentioned, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. We'll address them after I've finished going through this. So let's go ahead, Jaleisha, to the next slide. For Weber Davis and Box Elder counties for April 2025, we'll go over each of these routes. Starting with Route 417, that is a new route, and it will run between North Temple. It will serve 1940 West Track Station on the Green Line, and it will go north on Redwood to Center Street in North Salt Lake, and then it will cut over to Cutler Drive and serve Spectrum Academy in North Salt Lake, go over to 1100 North and cut over to 800 West to go to the Woods Cross Frontrunner Station. It will also serve Northwest Middle School in Salt Lake City, and it will also serve the Division of Services for the Blind and Visually Impaired on 1950 West near the track station. Next, please. We also have some changes in the Layton and Clearfield area. We're going to modify Route 470 to serve Layton Hills Mall directly instead of coming just straight up and down Main Street, which it does today. Route 627 will replace Route 470 on Main Street. And we're also going to reroute Route 627 to extend to the Fruit Heights Park and Ride, which so that it can connect to some additional routes at that location. Route 627 will continue to serve the DTC, Davis Technical College. Route 470 will no longer serve the DTC as part of this change. Next, please. We also have Route 628. Route 628 today is known as the Midtown Trolley. It runs a special trolley bus and it is free fare. But as part of this proposal, Route 628 is graduating from a trolley route that was partially subsidized by the city of Layton into a regular UTA service. The ridership on this route has done well enough that it can be incorporated into our regular service plan. And we're also proposing to, with the modifications to routes 470 and 627, some pretty big modifications to Route 628 as well. You can see on the map, it will start at Clearfield Station, go up to 700 South or Highway 193. It will serve Weber State University Davis and the New Ames campus there off of 700 South, down Hillfield Road, and then on Midtown Crossing past Layton Hills Mall. And then it will serve some additional areas to the west of I-15 that we don't currently serve today. This is new coverage in Layton on Angel Street, Sugar Street, Marshall Way, and Layton Parkway. And then it will tie back in via Layton Parkway to the Layton Frontrunner Station on the south end. And this will no longer be a free service. This will be a regular fare, just like any other UTA bus route. Next, please. We're also proposing some changes. Thank you, Megan. Proposing some changes in the Clinton Sunset area. We have a Route 626 that serves 2000 West in Clinton and Sunset. That will be replaced by changes to Route 640. So Route 640 will serve 2000 West instead of Route 626. And then we have a new route, 642, will take over the part of the 640 that is changing. So the new route 642 will serve the Freeport Center. It'll serve 1000 West, and it'll serve the Kent's Market area in Roy, which is where 626 ends today. So the 642 will basically take over the 626 and 640, any part that's changed with moving the 640 to 2000 west. All right, next, please. Moving to Salt Lake County for April 2025 change day. Go ahead to the next slide. We have, go one back, please. Thank you. So we have one slide here just talking about some changes to these routes. We have some service increases in Salt Lake County on routes 39, 201, and 218. Route 39 will increase to 15-minute service on weekdays and Saturdays, and it will increase to 30-minute service on Sundays. Routes 201 and 218 will both increase to 30-minute service on weekdays, and they will continue to run 60-minute service on Saturdays. Then we also have a new track station that will be opening in April. The name of that station is South Jordan Downtown. That will open on the red line. It's in between Daybreak Parkway and South Jordan Parkway stations on the red line. Next slide, please. Then we have some new routes in Salt Lake County as well. This is Route 126. It begins on the west end at Daybreak Parkway Station on the red line, and it will head south on Harriman Main Street to the Harriman Town Center. Then it will go on Fort Harriman Parkway south to 134th South. Then it will go down Mountain View Corridor and head back on Sentinel Ridge Drive past the, past the Slick Harriman campus, Salt Lake Community College, as well as the Real Salt Lake Academy. From there, it will head back north to 134th, east to 3600 West. We'll serve the LDS Riverton office complex at the corner there. Then it will head north on 3600 West to 126th South. And then it will head east on 126th and or 123rd to the Draper Frontrunner Station. And then it will go from there, it will go south and past the apartments on 125 West, back north to 123rd South. And from there, it will go east to 700 East, south on 700 East to 124th South, which is also known as Pioneer Road. And from there, it will end adjacent to the Draper Town Center track station, which is the end of the blue line. So this is a pretty long route. It's a pretty extensive add to UTA's coverage in this area, and we're pleased to be able to offer that service starting in April. Next slide.
Thank you, Eric. And before I go to the next slide, I just want to let you guys know we have put a link to the maps in the chat in case you want to follow along while Eric discusses the new routes.
I recognize some of these are really long descriptions, so it may be helpful to follow along. This is another new route. This is Route 219. This route will start at the Sandy Civic Center track station on the blue line. And then it will go from there down Seagull Lily Drive, past the Sandy City offices. It will serve Southtown Mall on Centennial Parkway. And it will cut across to Jordan Gateway and head south to the South Jordan Frontrunner Station. From there, it will continue south to 106th South, and then it will serve the River Park Corporate Center, on Riverfront Parkway. and then it will continue west on 106th and 104th South to Redwood. It will go all the way south on Redwood to 144th South. And then it will go west on 144th to 2200 West, which is the Bluffdale City offices. That's where it will turn around and head back the other way. Eventually, this route will connect to the Point Frontrunner Station when that station opens, but that station does not exist yet. So in the meantime, it will end at Bluffdale City Hall. All right, next slide. This is an existing Route 871, but it's being extended. Currently, it comes up to 123rd South. We're going to extend it north via the shopping center there in Draper, via 300 East up to 114th South, over to State Street, and north on State Street, all the way to Beat Digger Boulevard, or 10,000 South area, and go into the Sandy Civic Center track station. Next slide. And finally, we have Utah County for April 2025. I have a couple additional services here as well. Next slide, please. This is another new route, Route 823. This route will start at the Provo Frontrunner Station. It will travel through Provo on University Avenue and then 300 South to State Street. Then it will head south on State Street to Springville, and it'll turn into Main Street in Springville. And then west on 400 South to 1750 West. Then it will go south to I forget the name of the street, but it'll go south and to Corner Canyon Boulevard in Spanish Fork, and it will head on Corner Canyon Boulevard, which becomes Expressway Lane, which then becomes 1000 North, and then it will head west on 1000 North to Main Street in Spanish Fork, and south on Main Street in Spanish Fork to Center Street, and that's where it will turn around and go back the other way. And this route serves the Provo Frontrunner Station. It also serves the future site of the Springville Frontrunner Station. And when the Spanish Fork Frontrunner Station opens, it will serve that location as well. And then we also have in Utah County a new UTA on-demand zone. This is zone 581. It will serve Provo, basically from 500 West and 800 North, west and south, and then it will serve the area west of I-15 all the way up to University Parkway and the Orem Frontrunner Station. So it will serve Provo Frontrunner Station, Orem Frontrunner Station, the Provo Airport, Geneva Road, Lakeview Parkway, and that whole area on the west side of Provo. All right. And then we'll go ahead with the 2026 service changes. Let's go to the next slide, please. Starting again with Weber, Davis, and Box Elder County. So the first change here is that Route 455, which currently travels between Salt Lake and Ogden, will be shortened to the D Event Center next to Weber State. And then on the next slide, Route 604 will be extended to the D Event Center, and that will replace the portion of Route 455 that was shortened. And then on the next slide, because the movement of Route 604 is kind of complicated around the Frontrunner Station because of the overpass and the bridge on 24th Street, we're just showing that it will go in a loop in two different ways to get into and out of the station. The important thing to know is that it will come in on 24th Street, it will serve the station, and then it will head south on Wall Avenue to 28th Street. And then going the other way, It will come up wall from 28th Street. It will serve the front runner station. It will loop around, and then it will go back out on 24th. This is another new route for 2026, Route 610. This route will serve Harrison Boulevard, Wall Avenue, 12th Street, and Washington Boulevard, and portions of Washington Terrace on 5000 South and 300 West. This replaces part of Route 612 and part of Route 625. And this route will run a loop in both directions from the Ogden station around this loop to Weber State, to Ogden Regional Hospital, and back to Ogden Station, as shown on the map. Next slide. Route 612 will have a couple more insets for this. Route 612 will be rerouted to serve Ogden Station. Currently, it does not. It stays on Washington, but we are rerouting it to come into and out of the station. That will replace service on the Ogden trolley, which currently serves that area. Excuse me. It will also be extended to serve Pleasant View Station on the north end. We previously had front runner service to Pleasant View Station. We are not adding train service at this time, but we are adding bus service to that station so that it can be a transfer location and a place to access the transit system. The loop, sorry, let's go back. There's a lot on this slide. Sorry. The loop in North Ogden will be replaced by on-demand service. The on-demand service area will cover North Ogden, Pleasant View, portions of Plain City, Harrisville, Far West, Marriott Slaterville, as well as the north end of Ogden. And then finally, in Washington Terrace, part of the Route 612 as it exists today will be replaced by service on Route 610. So we'll make Route 612 just go basically in a straight line through Washington Terrace and South Ogden. All right, now we can go to the next slide. You can see the Pleasant View Station, basically from Washington Boulevard, the route will turn on 2600 and 2700 north and head west into the Pleasant View Station. And then in Washington Terrace, you can see the route will head south on Washington Boulevard to Adams Avenue Parkway, and then it will go south on Adams Avenue Parkway to approximately 5800 south to a new turnaround and head back north. Next slide. And then finally in downtown Ogden, you can see that the 612 will come from Washington. It will go into the front runner station on 23rd Street and back out on 26th. And then it will do the opposite in the other direction. Next slide, please. Route 630 travels between Brigham City and Ogden. This route will be streamlined in Brigham City to stay on Main Street / Highway 89. And there will be additional on-demand service in Brigham City that will replace that service on Route 630, as well as the flex route 638 that also serves Brigham City. We will be increasing the level of service on Route 630 from 60 to 30 minutes on weekdays. And Route 630 will also begin serving Pleasant View Station. Next slide. So these insets just show that Route 630 will be just staying on Main Street in Brigham City, and then it will be pulling into the Pleasant View front runner station. Route 640 will be modified again. It'll have a change both years. We're going to shorten it to Roy Station, and Route 645 will take care of the portion of Route 640 between Roy Station and Weber State. And then in 2026, Route 640 will be extended to take over Route 628. Those will be combined into one big Route 640. And then you can see on the next slide, Route 645 will also be extended to take over that portion of Route 640 between Roy Station and Weber State, with the exception that it will travel on 40th Street instead of 36th Street, east and west across Ogden. So the 40th Street we don't currently serve. That's an area of new coverage for us as well. And then the route will just end at the OTC on the north end, and it will not do the loop that it currently does on Larson Lane and Monroe Boulevard. That will be taken over by on-demand service as well. Next slide. Moving to Salt Lake County for the April 2026 change day. Excuse me. Next slide. We have some additional service increases in 2026. Routes 54 and 205 will be upgraded to run every 15 minutes on weekdays and Saturdays, and every 30 minutes on Sundays. And then we also have a new streetcar station on the S line. The S line will be extended to Highland Drive, and there will be an additional station there adjacent to Highland Drive. Next slide. In 2026, we propose to replace Route 2 with routes 2A and 2B. They will both run every 15 minutes for a combined 6 to 9 minute service on 200 South. And then Route 2A will travel clockwise around the University of Utah, and Route 2B will travel counterclockwise. You can see the direction arrows on the map. Route 2A will serve President's Circle, and then the hospital, and then South Campus, and Route 2B will serve South Campus, and then the hospital, and then President's Circle. Next slide. Route 4 will be extended to the park and ride at 6200 South and Wasatch. And that's to provide additional transfers to the ski service, as well as an opportunity for people in the southeast part of Salt Lake County, specifically Cottonwood Heights, Holiday area, to commute from there to the U of U and downtown on Route 4. Next, please. Route 45 will be modified to travel on 4500 South instead of Murray Holiday Road. It currently makes a deviation there. Instead, it will just travel in a straight line east and west on 4500 South. And the portion on Murray Holiday Road will be replaced by Route 223, which you'll see in a minute. Next, Route 54, as I mentioned, will increase to 15-minute service Monday through Saturday. Will also be extended to the UFCU amphitheater. It comes close, but it doesn't stop right at the venue right now. So we'll be extending that slightly to the west. Next slide. And Route 62 will also be extended to the UFCU amphitheater and take over that portion of Route 54 between 5400 and 6200 South there. Next slide. Route 72 will also extend to the 6200 South Wasatch Park and Ride along with Route 4, again to connect with the ski service. Next slide. Route 220 will be shortened to the U of U with the service on routes 2A and 2B. That will provide the east-west connection on 200 South, so the 220 will end at the University of Utah. Next slide. Route 223, as I mentioned, will be extended to serve Murray Holiday Road instead of Holiday Boulevard, which it currently serves. It will head west on Murray Holiday Road to 1300 East, south on 1300 East to 5600 South. And it will head west on 5600 South to Vine Street, north to 5300 South, and west into Murray Central Station. And so instead of serving the Holiday Boulevard area, it will head back west toward Murray Central Station and provide that connection. Also, Route 223 will increase to 30-minute service on weekdays. Then Zone 502, which is the Salt Lake City West Side on-demand zone, will add Central Point Station as a destination point. It does not currently serve the station, but we will add that as an origin or a start and end point for traveling within the zone. Next, please. And then finally, Utah County in April 2026. We have a new route, 846. Route 846 will replace the eastern portion of current Route 862 on 800 East and 1600 North. And then it will travel on 800 North west to the Vineyard Station. That's a connection that doesn't exist today, but Route 846 will provide that. Next slide, please. Route 850 will be rerouted to serve the Valley Grove development, and the service to downtown Pleasant Grove will instead be provided by a modified Route 862. Next, please. Route 860 is another new route. This will replace Route 806, and it serves the communities of Eagle Mountain and Saratoga Springs. Previously, Route 806 has only provided 4 trips each way per day. Route 806 will run every 30 minutes all day on weekdays and every 60 minutes all day on Saturdays. That's a pretty significant increase in service for this area as well. And then you can see on the map also some additional on-demand service in the area of Lehigh and Saratoga Springs that will be implemented in conjunction with Route 860. Next, please. And then Route 862, as I mentioned, will be modified. Instead of heading east on 1600 North, it will head north to 2000 North, and then serve State Street, and then serve Main Street and Center Street in Pleasant Grove, which is what the 850 serves today. And then it will also head south on Pleasant Grove Boulevard and serve a little bit of that business park before heading back up to State Street and into the American Fork Frontrunner Station, which is also a connection that doesn't exist today. All right, next slide. That is all of the service changes for April 2025 and 2026. So I'll defer to Jaleisha at this point if we want to take questions about the service changes before we get into the fare changes, or if we want to just keep going.
So what I think we'll do, we'll hold all questions until the end. If you feel you may lose your question, please go ahead and put it in the chat and we will make sure we get back to it. But just to make sure we have enough time permitted, I'd like to move forward and have Monica Howe present on the fare proposed changes.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Monica Howe, Fares Director, and I'll be reviewing the fare changes starting with April 2025. Next slide, please. This change is related to Route 628, the Layton Trolley, and beginning in April, fare will move from 0 to paid fare. Next slide, please. Next slide, now we'll discuss the 2025-2026 upcoming changes. In 2021, we officially started working towards our goal of an improved fare system, and I'm happy to share we're moving closer to accomplishing it. But before we can fully realize it, we need to make changes to our current fare system, and there are several. So the new system is not fully developed yet. We are getting closer to completion. And I'd just like to point out that our rollout schedule and our communication plan is not final. So I won't be covering that tonight.
Hey Monica, really quick, sorry. It looks like your
Yes.
video isn't working.
Oh,
I'm not
strange.
sure if it's showing for you, but maybe try on and off.
Is it working now? I did try on and off. It does show for me.
We saw you earlier. That's okay. I just
No?
wanted to test it,
Still no,
troubleshoot if
still
we
no
could.
video. Okay.
No video. That's
Yeah,
okay.
that is strange. Okay, well, sorry that you can't see me, but so going on about our proposed changes, ticket options. So that what this means for our fare implementation system is that ticket options will be phased out, and that will be replaced by our prepaid reloadable accounts, which is similar to our fare pay card today. These proposed changes will impact specifically paper tickets, monthly passes, and tickets sold on the mobile app. So I will walk through each one of those today, along with a few other proposed fare changes that will be included as part of this change day. Next slide, please. Fares purchased at the ticket vending machines are being simplified. Currently, a customer can purchase paper tickets and they have more than 13 fare product options because of the combination of different discount levels, mode, and trip type. We have new ticket vending machines out on our system right now, but our functionality has not changed. We do expect with our new TVM functionality to improve the screen flow. We will also be vending fare pay cards from the TVMs, which will replace paper ticket options that are currently being vended. Customers will be able to load funds to their account at the ticket vending machine and also be able to check their balances. So rather than having the customer select the best ticket to meet their travel needs, for example, the one-way round trip fare pricing is automatic and the least expensive fare rate will be charged. So the tickets that will be eliminated as part of this will include the one-way ticket, the round trip, upgrade ticket, group pass, and day pass. Next slide, please. The next proposed change will impact monthly passes. Paper passes have slowly been phased out over the years, and this is mainly because of the low sales because of the adoption of UTA's current electronic fare payment options that have been added over the past several years. There were over 16 different paper pass options, and now there are 4. In August, we implemented as part of August Change Day fare capping functionality on the fare pay card. This allows our riders to tap their card and not be charged more than the daily maximum or the weekly maximum, whichever is more beneficial than the purchase of a monthly pass. And fare capping will be carried over as part of the new fare collection system. So the monthly passes that we are proposing be eliminated include the reduced fare monthly stickers, the reduced fare monthly pass, and the full fare monthly pass. Next slide, please. Purchasing tickets on a mobile app is currently done through the Transit app. Customers select a ticket right now from more than 15 fare products, and we are in the process of simplifying this with new technology. Mobile app development is in phase 4 of our fare collection replacement project, which has not been started yet. However, it is proposed that we eliminate these tickets and utilize prepaid reloadable accounts. Best fares will automatically be calculated, which will improve the fare payment experience. And the passes that will be replaced include those listed on the screen. Next slide, please. The next proposed change relates to paper transfers and the proposed changes to eliminate paper transfers. This is an approved form of fare media issued to customers paying cash at the fare box by bus operators upon the customer's request. It provides customers purchasing a single trip additional time to travel if they have to travel on more than one mode of transit without incurring additional fare. Transfer credits are automatically deducted in the back office for fare payment made with electronic fare media. With this change, customers paying cash at the fare box will no longer receive a paper transfer. To receive a transfer credit, cash must be paid at TVMs, UTA customer service locations, or retailers, and this would occur by adding funds to a fare pay card. Next slide, please. The last proposed change that I will go over is for UTA's reduced fare discounts. Over the past several years, with support and guidance, we've been able to create and administer several different robust discount programs. And with these programs, we continue to sign on more customers and more agencies, which is extremely beneficial to UTA and to our riders both, and provides immediate assistance to those that need it. These changes were also in addition to other discounts that we provide currently for seniors, persons with disabilities, youth, and Medicare card holders. So as our riders continue to utilize these discounts, we will improve our stewardship over them as we administer and operate the fare system. Our new back office software that we will be implementing as part of the fare collection replacement project, which is currently in development, will manage all of our reduced fare discounts, including the current reduced fare application portal. So this portal is one of many different fare systems that will be brought under one umbrella in our new fare system. Customers qualified for a reduced fare will be required to use an electronic fare media to receive the discount. Cash payments through a fare box will not be eligible for the discount. To pay cash, options for our customers can be to load fares to electronic fare media at TVMs, at customer service locations, and at participating retailers. And also, as part of this change, the old reduced fare plastic ID card will be phased out. It can't be read or validated by any of our electronic card readers. So in summary, as we inch towards the completion of our new fare collection system and plan for the implementation and transition to improved hardware and greater fare payment functionality, you can see there are many changes that I've just reviewed that need to occur to reach our goals of simplification and integration. And today is the first of many steps that we will be taking to make this successful with both our internal stakeholders and for all of our customers. And with that, I will pass it off to you, Jolisha. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. I'm having a little, okay. Awesome. So thank you, Monica and Eric, for presenting. Let me get to the next slide. So now we will open it up for questions and comments. I do see we have some comments in the chat already. So Megan, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the first question in the chat, the only question I see right now in the chat is a question about the on-demand service. Eric, if you want to speak to whether on-demand service will also cover the American Fork area.
Thanks, Megan. So we're just talking about the next 2 years at this point. And the on-demand service is going to start in Provo in Utah County, and then Saratoga Springs and Lehigh. There will be additional expansions in the years after this, including Alpine and Highland, American Fork is not currently on the list for an expansion, but that's something that we would love to get more feedback from the community about. We do redo the 5-year service plan every 2 years. So if there's a strong desire from the community, or if we're getting that feedback, we could take the opportunity to put that into a future 5-year service plan and put that into effect.
Awesome. We have a couple of questions regarding the transfers. Monica, if you want to speak to these questions. So first we'll start with the transfer credits for cash users and some riders ending up maybe paying higher costs for multi-leg trips. The question is, why couldn't UTA consider keeping the transfer credits for cash payments?
Yes, absolutely. So transfers are something that we've talked a lot about over the years. And in an effort to simplify our transfer rules, if you have considered them or looked at them, are extremely complicated. And so we'll be looking to simplify this with utilizing new technology, and the new technology will allow transfer credits to occur automatically. So we won't be getting rid of transfer credits. We'll be just shifting it to an electronic media. And our hope is that those that are paying cash can receive benefits that our electronic media offer, and that is fare capping in a given day, so that cash users aren't actually paying more than they would by taking multiple legs in a journey. They can take advantage of the same, actually better rates by using electronic media.
A follow-up question related, and I do see Bianca. I'm considering your comment more as a comment than a question, and we can read that in as soon as we get through some of the questions to clarify the content that was presented. So another question on the reduced fare, who may not transition to the reduced fare pay card. What can we do? What are we doing at UTA to ensure no one loses access to reduced fares? And then the second part of that, which I'm happy to repeat as we take it in bits, but how will UTA support riders who might face logistical challenges transitioning to reduced fare pay cards, including folks like seniors, those without internet access, or those who might be unfamiliar with the process? Monica, do you want to address that?
I can, yes. So we definitely recognize that a lot of our riders do rely currently on the reduced fare ID card because they have been around for quite some time, and there are a lot of people that have them. We don't have quantities or our arms around those amounts, but we are looking to put in a transition plan and a sunset date on them that will work. And so if there is difficulty in that transition to a fair pay card, we're here to help. We do have staff that will be more than willing on either a one-on-one basis or as needed in group settings to help with that transition. And we also recognize that transition will take some time. So we're willing to put forth that time and really understand what the transition will take for our riders to make sure that that transition is successful. But I do want to acknowledge there are quite a few cards out there. As far as making sure that no one loses access to reduced fares, we've seen a trend where those that are gaining access to reduced fares is increasing. So that's really great as we bring more people on. UTA previously didn't have a low income program in place for low income riders. So we've actually expanded the eligibility group now to include our low income riders. We've also taken that requirement from 150% of the poverty level to 200%. So I just want you to know that we are committed to making sure that more people have access to reduced fares in the future, as opposed to limiting that. And then the last section, how will UTA support riders who face logistical challenges? Again, understanding the logistical challenges is very important. So by your attendance tonight and by providing comment during this public outreach period is what will allow us to be able to understand what the logistical challenges are, and then be able to help solve for them and work together with you to make sure that a solution is in place. So thank you for that comment.
Thanks, Monica. I have a message or a chat. It says, if the fare changes are proposed for implementation in April 2025, When can the community expect to get the communication information for a plan?
Okay. I'm not seeing that, but from what
Sorry, they accidentally sent it directly to me.
Oh, okay, no problem. Just to clarify, we don't have our rollout plan and our communication plan in place yet. The only change that will be hitting in April 2025 is just taking the latent trolley from 0 to paid fare. So these other changes will be occurring over the next couple of years. We're discussing them now, so that we can make sure to gather as much feedback and have as great conversations about it. But just to clarify, the fare change that's happening in April is just the latent trolley. These changes, we're still slating out a robust schedule, timeline, and communication plan.
And I put one more in the chat.
Okay.
So you can be able to see it. It did come directly to
Okay,
me.
great.
But with the removal of paper transfers, will there be information in all methods, including on buses in various languages, to assist customers who have always used that method and may not have technology to get social media or website information?
Yes, absolutely. This is a major change. And so the more places that we can make the public aware and communicate it, including on all modes, the better. So I feel confident that in our groups here at UTA, both outreach and marketing, that we will be able to communicate that. And for those that don't, our operators will have the information they need to guide as well people that are boarding and learning about these things for the first time as well. So there will definitely be an education period that we will be able to support the riders.
Okay. We have a comment that says, but if you're planning to put a transition plan, why isn't that included in the proposed changes? You say you need a trend. How many transfer slips are utilized?
Okay, yes. Thank you, Alan. So the reason that the transition plan isn't included with the proposed changes today that we're not talking about is because there's still some things that we're only halfway or a little bit more than halfway with our implementation of our new fare collection system. And so as that progresses a little bit more and we're able to firm up the deadlines, then we'll pass that on to you. We actually have change day major changes that occur only in April of every year. And so to get ahead of this, like I said, and to have these conversations earlier, we felt it was better to come out with information on what these changes would look like, regardless of whether we don't have the timeline in place currently. So more information on the timeline to follow. In regards to, you say you see a trend, how many transfer slips are utilized? Transfer slips are very difficult. There are a lot that go out, a lot that are issued on various buses by all of our operators. It's a great amount that are issued. So as far as how many are utilized, I don't have that number. I think that the trend, and you'll have to correct me in chat if I'm wrong, that I was referring to was the increase that we're seeing in the number of applications and people that are using the reduced fare discount, not necessarily the trend that we're seeing around transfer slips, just to clarify.
Looks like we have another comment. Pretty Shell wants to know, what is the benefit to UTA or to users by charging cash users more for multiple leg trips?
What is the benefit to UTA or to users by charging cash users more for multi-leg trips? So again, I just want to go back to the theme of simplification with our transfer rules and taking advantage of the technological advancements that allow this to happen automatically. We're also looking to minimize the involvement that our operators have in validating a fare. And if you've seen a transfer slip and all of the numbers and words and craziness, it can be a lot for our operators to validate that. So think in terms of simplification, ease for operators, taking advantage of new technology, and the benefits that will come from having them focused on electronically versus paper passes and the logistics for getting them out there and having to distribute them and issue them and for ease for our riders as well, for maintaining them, keeping track of them.
Thank you. And Alan had a bit more to add. He says, so you don't know how many, yet you're proposing to eliminate this benefit. What's the urgency?
No urgency aside from we're developing technology, and when it's ready to roll out, we'll be prepared to take advantage of it. Not a sense of urgency, but I do want to emphasize that just to point out that cash users still have payments that can be processed at all of our ticket vending machines, also at customer service locations and retailers. So there is opportunity for our cash payer riders still to be able to take advantage of transfers, just in a different way.
Jaleisha, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Megan.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was gonna jump in because I know there's a lot of back and forth on this, and it seems
Thank
like
you.
Alan might have some more questions. If we want to have an additional conversation offline, but I want to make sure maybe we can talk broadly about the plan and the timeline. I know we addressed a little bit the urgency, but Monica, maybe reiterating sort of the account-based ticketing and the overhaul would be helpful. Just for sort of the bigger picture.
Yeah, sure. So, and thank you. Yes, Alan, happy to have my contact information will be on here. So I would love to have a follow-up conversation, and we can, I know this is hard to do over chat and we have multiple people on this call right now, but essentially, in long story short, is we have over 50 years added various fare collection payment methods, and they keep stacking, and things have gotten more complicated. And so now we're looking at implementing a new system modeled similar to the way our fare pay card works, where it is account based, funds are loaded, fare capping is technology is implemented, and the best fare is given to the best fare rate is given to the rider automatically. So this takes a lot under our new system and our new back office. It takes the need away from multiple tickets at ticket vending machines, multiple tickets on the mobile app. We're really simplifying and at the same time giving the customer the best fare rate so that they don't have to worry about what type of ticket or what type of fare they need to buy when they travel. So our new software system that we roll out, I think the urgency is to continue to make sure that our customers have and again, not to use the word urgency, but to make sure that our customers have a simple, convenient way to pay where they're getting the best fare and they're not confused and it's convenient. And we're excited to get to that point. So I would say it's more excitement than urgency.
Great, thank you. I know we've sort of lumped questions and comments, but we also do want to encourage. I know some of the questions being asked are really comments, and so we will be taking everything from the chat and including it in the public record. But if you do want to iterate a comment more specifically in the chat, you're very welcome to do that. Jaleisha has shared our link to the comment form that's online, again, at rideuta.com/changeday. If anyone does have some limitations in terms of their access to the chat feature, I believe we have a raise hand function, and you would be welcome to raise your hand. We have no more comments. I want to make sure we give a good pause to make sure everyone has had an opportunity to ask their comments, or ask their questions rather, or say their comments.
I did see one other comment, Megan, about American Fork.
Oh yes, go ahead, Eric.
Just to follow up on that, we would love as much feedback as we can get. recognizing that there is a lot of growth throughout our service area. We want to make sure that we're considering what specific needs we're seeing in American Fork. We will be adding some additional bus service as we outlined earlier, but if we see some opportunities for additional on-demand service, the comment period is going to be open for the next couple of weeks. I would encourage anyone on the call to reach out to everybody in their community to make sure that they leave those comments, because we do, again, we will have the public record, as well as we'll be taking that into account for our either adjustments that we can make for this plan or future 5-year service plans.
We did get a question in for you, Eric, from Philip. Will the North Weber on-demand zone serve the Ogden station, or will folks need to transfer on 12th Street to a bus?
Thanks for that question, because I did not mention that earlier in the presentation. The North Weber on-demand zone does include Ogden Station. It doesn't include all of the area between Ogden Station and 12th Street, but it does include the station, so you would not have to transfer to get to Ogden Station.
Looks like I received a direct message. JT would like to know, is there precedence for this type of fare collection? If so, how is it received?
Yes, hi, thank you. We are definitely not the first agency to be implementing something like this. We are following other agencies that have implemented it and have been very successful and gotten a lot of positive feedback from their riders regarding the use of the system. And we have even ourselves been trailblazers over the years in implementing the Fare Pay card and even an electronic fare collection system, 10 plus years ago. And so what we've seen is that a lot of people, and even just the reduction in our paper passes, have greatly and widely and really accepted electronic media in both the Fare Pay card and the mobile app. And so trends will continue to move to electronic fare media, especially because our riders have a fare media in their pocket, most of them already, which is the mobile phone. So we look forward to doing a lot of great things with our fare media and our ability to collect fares in the future.
I see some additional comments. We can actually maybe go ahead and read. I'll go back to Bianca. Just so we're saying them clearly for the record, we did receive a comment from Bianca. My concern with some of these changes is that they could reduce accessibility for people who rely on cash to use public transit. Not everyone has easy access to bank accounts, credit cards, internet, or digital payment systems. Thank you for sharing the comment, Bianca. I'll go down. Alan has left a comment as well, kind of addressing the excitement versus urgency. So they just want us to know if that's why changes are being proposed out of excitement and not out of a need from the community, then this feels out of step and not aligned to what public transit is about. Thank you for sharing those comments. We have another comment that's been submitted. They'd like to echo some feedback from community members about having to go specifically to stations and customer service to obtain it. Does create additional work for riders who may already have some barriers. So hope to highlight that and discuss more potentially. So that was specifically in regards to reduced Fare Pay cards. Thanks for sharing those comments. Yeah,
and I can speak to that as well.
Thank
Megan.
you. Yeah.
And conversations that we've had internally and a few things that we've seen successful at other agencies is coming to the rider through different community opportunities where we can be having, I guess, mobile opportunities for us to be mobile and coming out to the community and helping riders get access to Fare Pay cards and other forms of fare media as well. So I appreciate hearing that those barriers exist, and we will make note of that and continue to try to look for ways that minimize that inconvenience, and specifically for cash users.
Thanks, Monica. Pretty Shell would like to know, can UTA put the data about paper transfers and stuff on the website to explain to my grandma why she has to pay more for her trip? I know someone said that the simplifying the process for the UTA employees is good, but this is not more simple for people who ride.
So just in response to some of the information on the website, there's a bit of information on the change day page that was linked. We can link that again. Specifically about data and the why. Maybe that is an area where we can provide a little bit more information. So thank you for sharing that, but please do check out the rideuta.com/change day page. It does have quite a lot of information. We know it's a lot. We know it's a lot to get through. But let us know if there are questions. You can always contact us. We have our contact information on the next slide. But let's make sure we're hearing from everybody if there are other comments or questions.
And it is a lot to get through. So we've gone ahead and broken down the survey that we've created to address each individual year. So I left, again, the link to the survey in the chat in case you want to go through and leave your comments and questions inside of the survey so that we can have them for our records to consider.
Alicia, let's advance to the next slide so we can show the information in writing, that we do have a few options for folks if they aren't able to visit our website. We do have an email address and a phone number, as well as a snail mail if there are comments that you'd like to submit. There are some alternative options for doing so. We do have this comment period open. Sorry to speak for you, Jalisha. We're open until December 13th. So share this information with your family, friends, network. We want to make sure folks have an opportunity to review it. This recording will be available after the fact, likely later tomorrow or Friday on that webpage at rideuta.com/change day.
Do we have any more questions or anyone who may need to utilize the raise your hand function so they may be able to speak their question or comment?
I think you can go ahead and wrap it up, Jalisha. And if folks do want to, oh yes, so we'll share our comment or our contact info in the chat here. You can get in touch with us very quickly through hearing officer at rideuta.com, and we can connect you to Monica Allen. So you see the hearing officer at rideuta.com email address there. We encourage you to take a look at the information and send us your questions and comments as you've had some time to digest.
And I put the email in the chat if you'd like to copy that, Alan. Well, if there are no more questions or comments for the night, thank you all for showing up and sitting through our presentation and leaving your comments, questions, and concerns. Again, there is a link in the chat to go ahead and fill out a survey for the open comment period. We encourage you to use that and share it with your friends, family, and community members. And if there's nothing else, I'll say thank you and have a good night.